Much is being said about beauty today, and I just wanted to give my 2 cents. We no longer dare to believe in beauty, and we make of it a mere appearance, as far as I can tell, in order the more easily to dispose of it. Our situation today shows that beauty, however, demands for itself at least as much courage and decision as the truth and goodness, and she will not allow herself to be separated and banned from her 2 sisters without taking them along with herself in an act of mysterious vengeance. We can be sure that whoever sneers at her name as if she were the ornament of a bourgeois past, whether he admits it or not, can no longer pray and soon will no longer be able to love. Now, those words were spoken by Hans Urs von Balthasar on beauty. Now, in a world where we are distracted from distraction by distraction, where our attention is fragmented, beauty, I think, is a remedy that arrests our attention and heals our being. In this 3-part series, we will focus on the importance of beauty. First, the connection between sensation, beauty, and love. Second, Thomas Aquinas' description of what he calls coabtation and complacency and the effects of love. And third, the transformative power of beauty. So part 1 on sensation, beauty, and love. Each person is born to take a certain delight in sensation, be it the sight of a beautiful woman, the sound of a Beethoven symphony, or the taste of a delectable martini. Now, these experiences seem to be arresting and disarming, a sense that we are stopped in our tracks and our attention reoriented. They are an experience, in a word, of beauty, which is first made manifest in the fact of staring or gazing. St. Thomas Aquinas defines a beautiful object as id quod visum placet, meaning that which when seen pleases. For Aquinas, however, visum or sight implies sensation more generally. Further, it evokes a sense of a contemplative gaze rather than simply a casual glance, implying a cognitive and reflective element, a gaze that requires depth. Thus, beauty may be seen to be a paradigm of appearance and so of perception. The problem today, however, is that we are no longer moved, arrested, captured, or disarmed by beauty. We are no longer pleased, as it were, for we no longer see. Now, how did we come to this? Well, postmodernity may be described as a conspiracy to conceal the real from our existential engagement by providing, through technological developments, superficial surfaces that lack depth. Now, that's quite a complex sentence, but let me just unpack it. We may be understood to be protective from that which is terrifying. Why? Because depth implies the unknown, which is outside of my control. Further, depth is always that which is underneath, and hence may be taken for granted, like the ground that I walk on, which, even though it supports me, is presumptuously anticipated, often without care. Nietzsche comments, "There are no beautiful surfaces without a terrible depth." In this way, beauty is daunting. What does Michelangelo's statue of David say to us? It's a word of judgment, that you could be more than you currently are. To put it another way, to say that something has depth means that it is transcendent, it is insatiable. The more we encounter it, the more our desire for it grows. However, for a deeper mode of existence, to penetrate the depths, or rather be moved by the depth, love is required. Aquinas describes the deep intimacy between love and depth in the following manner. He says, "The lover is not satisfied with the superficial apprehension of the beloved, but strives to gain an intimate knowledge of everything pertaining to the beloved, so as to penetrate into his very soul. Thus it is written concerning the Holy Spirit, who is God's love, that he searches all things, yes, even the very depths of God." Aquinas goes on to say that the love of concupiscence is not satisfied with any external or superficial possession or enjoyment of the beloved, but seeks to possess the beloved perfectly. by penetrating into his heart, as it were. Depth is that which seems to bind both love and beauty together. Beauty is born in sensation, but not a superficial sensibility, rather a sensation that draws one into the depths. Beauty is that which shapes love, as we read in the Song of Songs. Behold, you are beautiful, my love. For D.C. Schindler, beauty is the form of love. Beauty cannot be created if one does not participate in that love. One cannot create beauty if one does not look with the eyes through which God embraces the world he created in the beginning and beholds man whom he created within that world. Love and beauty require depth beyond superficial surfaces. There is an inexhaustibility in beauty. C.S. Lewis, commenting upon Coleridge's experience of a waterfall, draws the distinction between something that is sublime with something that is pretty. Beauty is sublime. Why? Because it has an inexhaustible depth, whereas pretty things are superficial and lack depth and involvement and movement. In this movement towards the depths, we see a polarity at play. First, the sensible attraction of a beautiful object, which draws one to itself. Second, the movement not only towards the object, but a receptive openness that allows oneself to be shaped and molded by it. There is a sensible dimension by which one is shaped, and an intellectual dimension that penetrates the depth. The problem today, however, is that we are blind and our eyes need to be opened. Through technology, our eyes are veiled, and thus we are unable to love, and our capacity to appreciate beauty is impinged. As the psalmist exclaims, "They have mouths, but they do not speak, eyes, but they do not see. They have ears, but do not hear, noses, but do not smell. They have hands, but do not feel, feet, but do not walk, and they do not make a sound in their throat. Those who make them are like them, so are all who trust in them." Here the psalmist speaks of idolatry as the inability to sense reality, not only to the idol, but also the idolater who becomes what he worships, namely a senseless creature. And if the love of beauty is rooted in the capacity to sense, then the idolater cannot create or even sense beauty. Through idolatry, there's a separation. There is no longer any intimacy between the self and reality. And because of that, we lose a sense of ourselves and of reality. An idol, contrasted to an icon, is opaque and only has a surface at which one's gaze ends, but there is no depth. Another dimension of the inability to sense reality, to penetrate reality because of technological development, is the breakdown of passion. This is based upon the detached point of reference required of any scientific endeavor, predicated upon being passionless. For Aquinas, love is a passion. It is oriented towards the other. Passion, in Latin patior, is that which moves one from without, and thus requires an effective capacity to be moved by a sensible appetite toward sensible union. However, today, the problem is that not so much an overindulgence in our passion, but in fact, paradoxically, the complete lack of passion. We are no longer moved from without because we are blind and closed. We are turned in on ourselves, which for Augustine is the very essence of sin, which may be described as the spirit of acquisition, of graspability. This spirit of acquisition does not fulfill our desires, but sequesters it. A brave new world does not describe the release and recognition of desire, but its complete annihilation. The logic of this type of desire is that pleasure is found in the failure to attain what one desires. Pleasure is taken in absence itself. The pleasure of not getting what you want drives consumerism, and thus this spirit of acquisition. Today we have lost the ability to suffer beauty, to be moved and arrested by it. What is needed today is this opening of our senses and reorientation not only of our senses, but of our whole being, which Aquinas describes as co-adaptation, which we will turn to in our next video. Thank you and God bless.